I've done this for about 4 to 6 months. Door-to-door is like the worst. And that was like a moment of truth for me. It's like, I'm not there yet. I need to level up in my life. First year of business, I believe he cracked 50 million. And then his Amazon account got suspended. There's a showerhead brand on Amazon. They sell it for $120, $130. They're able to consistently do $1 million per month. In 2025, it was the first year where China-based sellers sit at 51% or 52%. I feel like right now, it's not about who you're learning from, it's more about action.
Owais Ghori is on a mission. From building his own Amazon brands to now working on scaling Amerify, an Amazon and TikTok shop agency that helps brands do one thing: dominate on one of the 2 largest e-commerce platforms on the planet. So join us in today's episode as we explore how much capital you really need to launch on Amazon today, and his entire playbook for launching, scaling, and exiting Amazon brands. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. We are delighted to be joined today by a very special guest who's just got back from some extensive traveling. Owais, do you want to say a few words about yourself and what you do in the e-com space?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on, Jordan and Ben. I would say a background about me is I've built my own brands and then also scaled them, part of an exit as well. And then now I'm an agency owner. So yeah, that's what I do.
Cool. Okay. And we are also rejoined by Ben. You also work in the Amazon space, right? Do you want to say a few words about that?
Yeah, sure. I've sold on Amazon for 10 plus years and I've been in and around the e-com space for a long time now. This conversation is of great interest.
Perfect. Well, Owais, so let's just kick it off. I know you've got background on the brand side. You also run an agency today. Where did you get started in e-commerce?
That's a really loaded question, but also a really good question. I would say the first time I got into the e-com space was just like how to make money online. I don't know how many guys started from that specific way. It's like I just graduated from my university and we moved to the US in 2017. And then I was like, okay, I need to find a way to like make money online. And I didn't find the path of going the job route was the thing for me. I was like, just go to YouTube and then search how to make money online.
So you never had a job?
I did do door-to-door.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was like really good. And I think I got that experience from someone mentioning on YouTube, like, okay, if you want to really go out there and like find your limitations, like go do door-to-door sales or like any type of sales role. And door-to-door is like the worst, where you're getting slammed on your face. And that was like a moment of truth for me. Is like, okay, I'm not there yet. I need to like level up in my life. And that's where I was like, okay, this makes sense. I've done this for, I think, about 4 to 6 months of like door-to-door in the Arizona heat,
What were you selling out of interest?
Yeah, we were selling DirecTV and AT&T packages to people. So anything that had to do with like internet and also TV. So broadcast, or they call it DirecTV as the product name itself. So that was the first foray into like selling stuff. And then from there, it was more about, okay, I don't want to do this. This is a lot more painful than I initially thought. From there, I was like, okay, I need to do something technology related. And that's where I found Stephen James. That was his YouTube channel. I don't know how many people know about him, but that was my first kind of entry into the e-com world. And then he was an affiliate to Amazing.com. So Amazing.com was like the big thing in the US back in probably 2016 onwards to like 2022, where they were selling courses, $6,000 courses for learning how to sell on Amazon. So that's how I got started into like the e-com world and kind of learned about that.
Okay. And then did you start with your own brand or did you start with agency work?
Yeah. So agency came much later down the road, which was after the brand exit. So I would say the first thing that I did was launch my own brand. At that point, I wouldn't even call it a brand. It was just like a single SKU product, which was something off of Alibaba, where we had the gallon water bottle jug with time markers. I don't know if a lot of people, it's still kind of trendy in today's age. But at that point, it was like taking off, and I was seeing a bunch of like sellers selling in like $1 million per month on Amazon with all these colors, and Chinese sellers. That is, I was like, yeah, I can do that. Kind of making my own version, did some product development, added like a rubber thing on the bottom, and then just went live with Amazon. And demand was there. We sold out really quickly, and that was like my first learning lessons. Sure. Okay, I don't know how to manage cash flow properly, and I ran out of stock. I don't have enough capital to reorder the second round, which was this like learning moment. Once you go out of stock, that's it. But yeah, that got me into like the e-com. So that was like the first foray, and Amazon has been like from day one. Amazon is what I know and what I know best. Yeah.
What was the brand journey like after that then? I believe you exited it, right? So what was
So in terms of building a brand, I've kind of built 2 brands from scratch with my own capital. And then I then worked for someone. He had a agency kind of model. It wasn't more so like taking on clients. It was more so where he had a holding company and he had managed multiple brands of his underneath that umbrella. And then everyone that is working in that particular kind of holding company, those guys manage multiple brands, but the brand was owned by this one individual, right?
So it's like an agency team, but they're
exactly, managing multiple. So the way that I got into that was he was in Phoenix. I was like, okay, I got to reach out to this person. He knows more about Amazon than I know. He was actually hiring for an Amazon marketplace specialist role, and I was not able to get that interview for whatever reason. And I just bombarded him for 6 months of consistent emails. And one day out of the blue, he was like, yeah, let's have a conversation. And then he wasn't hiring at that point, but we spoke and then we connected. And from there, he just hired. And then from there it was understanding what levers of brand growth are there. And that's how I was introduced to managing multiple brands, ranking stuff on Amazon, all that fun stuff, launching stuff on Amazon and all that fun stuff. So that's how I got into the brand side. And then the good thing was we had a little bit of a phantom equity at the end where we were able to, all the team members were able to participate in the exit to Thrasio. So that really allowed us to, see what the potential of building a brand from scratch, scaling it up, and then selling it. Mm-hmm. That was very, very rewarding per se. I think the most rewarding part was actually product development to product launch, where you're able to see the product in hand. I would say that's the most rewarding. After that, I think the exit is the rewarding part.
And you had your own exit as well, right? Do you want to?
No, so that was part of the brand that we exited together.
Okay, nice. Yeah. So you were kind of in-house there, and then you started the agency.
Yep, exactly.
So that was the next step.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Amerify is the agency.
That's correct.
I guess my question next is, a lot of people have an exit, they take a load of time off, and then they kind of feel a bit lost.
Yeah.
Did you go through that same experience? And then, what was the story behind starting the agency?
Yeah, I think the story behind the agency was I've seen the brand building process, and it takes a lot of cash and a lot of capital to be injected, either through credit lines, through loans, or whatever, to support the second round of inventory, to support marketing spend, all that fun stuff. So for me, I saw that, and I've seen multiple other brands behind the hood of them dealing with Amazon lending or partners that they're taking capital from. And for me, that was a big no-no. It's okay, I don't want to go in the world of going in debt, and I wanted to bootstrap something. So that was the whole kind of introduction of the agency world, which is, it's cash flow first, where I'm able to help with my knowledge, other brands kind of scale up. And then from there, we were able to obviously generate cash flow. And now that cash flow, that machine that we have with the agency, is able to then start other brands. So we're in the process of starting multiple other brands, specifically outside of Amazon. And then with the Amazon knowledge, that's going to help kind of grow from there.
Okay. So you're almost kind of replicating this guy's model of, agency team and then ownership of your own brands.
Exactly. Yeah. To some extent. Yeah.
Okay. And the goal is, grow and then exit. Is that the thought process?
Yeah. So the whole thought process is build a brand for about 24 to 36 months and then get it ready for sale. There's a really good book called Built to Sell.
Yeah.
I think kind of building a business to sell is the right way to work around it, like a framework. And that really, I think, allowed me to see, when you're building a business, do everything as if the next day you're about to sell, or make everything ready. And the beautiful process of the exit showed how many sellers or how many brands don't have their stuff together. It takes forever for the LOI period and the due diligence period to kind of go through. And me seeing that with him during that process, where we're getting all the data ready into the data room, that the aggregator kind of asked us, this is our folder. I don't remember, it wasn't Google Drive, it was something else, where they're housing all of the information, and they gave access to it. And we were uploading all the financials, all the data, everything. There was multiple questionnaires and all that fun stuff. So going through that process allowed me to see, what is the buyer interested in buying from you, from the brand, right? So getting all that ready is exactly how we're building brands.
Okay. I don't know the exact stat. I think it's between 2 and 5%, but most businesses obviously don't sell. Can you just unpack the thought process behind why every business should, be growing and scaling as if they were going to scale, to sell, even if they're not going to?
Yeah, I think that's correct. I've seen that stat floating around somewhere as well. And primarily, I think when you build a business that is built to sell, you're kind of removed from the day-to-day almost. So you're thinking more from an owner instead of an operator. So I think that is a benefit. That is a byproduct of kind of building a business that is ready to sell. But hey, even if it doesn't sell, you're still generating cash flow. It's still profitable, right? Because obviously you don't want to run a business that isn't profitable for the long run. But yeah, I think that's like a byproduct of building a brand for sale.
So is it more in the sense of you should look at it like an asset rather than being like emotionally tied to this baby of yours as the business?
Yes, I would say 100% it is an asset, and you want to think in the best interest of whatever that business is serving. So what type of customers, what type of avatar, all that fun stuff.
Okay. You mentioned before about the kind of two best experiences that you had running the business. So creating the product and then the kind of exit. What was the hardest part about scaling and kind of selling the brand?
I think the hardest part was the competitor. So there was for the brand that we sold, it was a coffee supplement plus coffee accessories brand. And the biggest challenge was the Chinese competitors raising to the bottom for pricing, right? So especially on the China related products. So that's where the introduction of like the supplement allowed us to really squeeze on the margins as well as the lifetime value, because it's a recurring product, and then the China products are not non-recurring products. So I think understanding that was like the biggest lever that we were able to understand. It's like, okay, made in USA, a lifetime value is greater than 4, 6, 7 months. That is a huge upside for you to sell down the road. So I think that was like one of the best unlocks. And then the other thing is just launching new products. I think at a certain point with Amazon, you become saturated in the market that you're in for that specific product. So it's super important for you to understand what your kind of limit is with this product. Let's say you've done every single thing possible and you're not able to like raise that ceiling, then it's a matter of like launching variations, launching new products, all that fun stuff. So that way you're able to consistently scale up to new numbers as well.
Okay. And then talking about Amerify, what is the goal? Like, what are you doing there? Is it, full stack Amazon partner? Who are you doing it for?
Yeah. So I think you mentioned earlier, this is what I'm trying to replicate from the other person that I learned the whole business model from. And to some extent that is true, where I'm able to have cash flow that allows me to invest into anything that I would want, right? And one of the ultimate goals, obviously, is you want to build a brand or an equity-based brand where you're able to scale it up and then sell it. So cash flow allows you to reinvest all the money for scaling it up rapidly within that 24 to 36 month period.
Yeah, sure. I was actually going to ask you. So what a lot of people try to do is they launch a product and they try and take it to 100%. Would you say people are better launching something, taking it to 80%, and then launching the next product?
Yeah, it totally depends on how much bandwidth you have from a perspective of like, is that a one-man show, or do you have like a team that you're able to like grow past that 80% to 100%, whatever you want for that particular product? Understand that it's going to take time. Overnight, nothing's going to be like breaking through bestseller badges on Amazon. It'll take some time, but obviously it'll take a lot more capital. So understanding what your resources are and then going from there, I think that's kind of like the approach. To answer your second part of the question, so going with launching new products, I think that's always something that Amazon wants other brands, other sellers to be doing at all times. So that way the market consistently innovates and you're able to have better products on Amazon, which then Amazon allows you to take the advantage of the honeymoon period during that launch phase and show it to more people. And if the product really is that good, then Amazon will support sales coming through. And the beauty of the Amazon model is like the consistent sales that it generates once you're past that honeymoon period.
How much capital do you need now to launch a product, would you say?
That is such a good question. I was asking so many founders at Innovate, the event that I was at in New York. And I think the answer previously in like the last couple of years was, okay, upwards of $10,000 to $50,000. I think between that range, you're pretty good. I would say now, if you're just focusing on Amazon alone, it's well north of 75 to 100K for one product. I think that's like the bare minimum. And I had a friend who launched a supplement brand. He's an agency owner as well. And he wasn't able to make it work. He raised capital about $500,000, so just under $500,000 is what he invested into the brand, and it's not successful. And there are certain other factors where his inventory, almost $200,000 worth of inventory, kind of burnt overnight in his factory or like in his warehouse. That was like unfortunate, but it just shows you like there's so many variables in like the capital outlay that it's going to be really challenging for you to launch with anything less than 100K in 2025 and beyond.
What changed in that?
I think the competition. Like
Okay.
if you're looking at just Amazon, this is just purely Amazon numbers in my opinion. If you are a little bit more resourceful, if you know drop shipping, if you know like Shopify, you have TikTok Shop, all that fun stuff, you're able to then make the numbers work with a lower capital outlay. But with the most of the competitors coming in from China right now, I think in 2025, it was the first year where China-based sellers grew past the total volume of sellers on Amazon by 51%. So right now, China's based sellers sit at 51% or 52% of the total market of Amazon itself. So as you can see, there's a lot more entrants in the space from China specifically, and that is making it really, really hard to compete. They were able to compete with China-related products, but now they're also doing it in supplements, which is it's almost like a game that you have to win apart from Amazon, which is more branding, other things that are like post-purchase side of things too.
You mentioned 75 to 100K, 75,000 to 100K for a launch. If you're doing Amazon only, if you were smart, what would you do instead to make it to cost less as such?
Yeah, really good question. I would say TikTok Shop is really up there. So if you have the skill set, or if you know of someone that has the skill set, I think you're able to make it work with much lesser numbers. You have the option of hiring creators on retainers for about $250 upwards of $100,000 as well, where you're able to get one piece of content per day from those creators. And if you stack them up really well, you're kind of, let's say you have like beginner creators and you're paying them $500 per month. You have 10 of them, that's $5,000 per month. That's your marketing budget. And then that allows you to get the visibility, the virality that you need to grow off of Amazon and on Amazon, because whatever searches are happening on Amazon is a byproduct of demand generated outside of Amazon.
Okay, so would you say that's a lot more cost effective?
I wouldn't say it's a lot more cost effective, but it's definitely lower than playing the Amazon advertising game. So let's say all you did was just did Amazon and Amazon advertising. So you have your organic part and then you have your advertising section, right? Cost per clicks have gone up significantly in the supplements game. In any specific niche that you're talking about, there's cost has risen. So for you to make your math make sense, it's going to be really difficult just playing the Amazon game, because you're burning money for, if not for 6 months, for at least a year. And that's from experience that I'm talking about. Like, we were in the hole when we were launching multiple products. This was, I think, 2 years ago, 3 years ago now. We were in the hole for about 6 to 8 months. And now it's even more, where you just have to feed the beast. You got to feed the flywheel on Amazon. So whatever it takes, just feed it. So that way it gives you the returns you're looking for.
Okay. So do Amazon only launches work anymore, or does it have to be a hybrid approach? And what is working for ranking at the moment? If your main goal is Amazon to take the sale there, what's most effective at the moment, would you say?
Yes. So Amazon only launches still work, but it is very dependent on the category you're in. So if you say that you're going to launch a beauty product or a supplement product, a consumable product, CPG product, it's not going to work like an Amazon only launch. It'll be, unless you have like a product that is significantly better, where it's just going to continue growing word of mouth without you doing much advertising, it's a very, very challenging game. But on the other categories that you do have, like China-related products, where there's not a lot of demand that can be generated on TikTok or other marketplaces or other social media channels, then you're able to do an Amazon-only launch and you're able to make it work. The biggest thing right now that's working for Amazon, to answer your second part of the question, is sending lots of traffic. So I like to be very informed about what Amazon is doing. So I don't know if you guys know about this, but if you go to amazon.science, that website has a bunch of papers on every single thing the algorithm is doing. So people have to publish it. Like the person that invented the algorithm, the A9 algorithm, whatever it is, they publish papers, and you're able to download those PDFs, upload it to ChatGPT, make it summarize for whatever makes sense for whatever you're trying to do. And that understanding of that Amazon ecosystem allows you to play the game that Amazon wants you to play. So right now what's working really well is sending lots and lots of traffic to Amazon from different sources of social media, such as you have Reddit, you have TikTok, you have Facebook, you have Google, all that fun stuff, but doing it in a short burst where it's incrementally growing day over day. So this is a strategy that we're in the process of currently testing, and other people have already proven this in the groups that I'm in. And basically what it is you push lots and lots of traffic for that one ASIN during a short 7 to 10 day window. And every single day, that traffic needs to increase. So you got to monitor your sessions on Amazon, because that is a true indicator of like true traffic. And this traffic doesn't need to convert. Like the only thing it needs to do is Amazon, they kind of need to be signed into Amazon for this to work. But that's where you're playing with lots of numbers of like the Meta or like the TikTok, where you're sending, let's say 1,000 clicks, but only 500 of them were like signed in. So you get 500 sessions on your listing. That is working tremendously well, where you're able to like compound the growth over that 7-day period, and then just completely stop that lever that you're doing, whatever you're doing off of Amazon, just stop it. The reason why is because it hints back to the paper, the Amazon science paper, where they're calling trend finder. That's the actual word they use in the papers, which they're trying to find these early trends without them like missing out on that trend. So Amazon's best interest is like, okay, this product is taking off, let's show it to more people. And the only way that it shows to more people is they raise the organic ranking. So to answer your question, that is a strategy that is working tremendously well, apart from search, find, buy, which is always evergreen. It's always going to be there unless like AI and regionalization comes in and they prioritize, okay, this seller has a lot of inventory in this particular state of New York, so we're going to show it higher over there. And Amazon, I spoke with an Amazon employee that is up there in the ranks. He's the head of voice of seller program. And he basically mentioned they're going to be doing this very, very soon, where it's going to be regionalization of products, and based off regional, it's going to organically rank much better. So obviously once they introduce all that information, it's going to be a little bit more challenging to do search, find, buy, but there's always ways to do it. But to answer your question, yes, there are ways to rank on Amazon without giving away product, and then with giving away product.
Okay. Do those ranks stick? When you say you stop the traffic, how long do they stick for? Or is it a case of if they get traction, they stick, and if they don't, they fall? Is it?
Yeah. So the organic rank doesn't happen during those 7 to 10 days. So you're getting those sessions, you're getting those compounding effect, but it essentially, the organic ranking follows day 15. So let's say you start on day 1, you do it through 10 days of like sending traffic. And then on day 15, day 14, you're trying to see, okay, every single day ranking kind of climbs on. And then obviously if your product is superior, if you have like a pricing strategy that is working tremendously well, then obviously it's going to work, and the organic rank will continue to increase. Your sessions will automatically start growing. But yeah, it is a factor of like the product needs to be a good offer as well. Yeah.
Obviously, one of the most challenging parts of Amazon is the fact that it's pretty much a ranking and review game.
Yeah.
So if you've got a competitive amount of reviews, or you've got the most reviews, for example, you're probably going to sell better than the others.
Yeah.
Which is obviously common knowledge. But what methods are working at the moment to get reviews?
I mean, the evergreen way of getting reviews is having an insert card, like how Samsung or Apple, or I wouldn't say Apple, but Samsung or HP or all these like TV companies, they have like register your product for warranty, right? That is going to be evergreen. I mean, you can capture emails, and then from the email you nurture them, and then you have like you're not incentivizing them to leave a review. So you want to remove all language of that. So that's like the evergreen way. The other way right now that Amazon just introduced this year is you have the Vine review program, which is kicking off before the product goes live. So you're able to then get a head start on reviews coming in from the Vine reviewers. So that way your launch can go pretty well too. So that is a new program. I forget the exact name of the program, but it's the Vine enrollment program. But yeah, so those are two ways that are working tremendously well. There are services out there that do like groups of people where they reach out to them. A strategy that kind of works is, okay, you go to Instagram, you go to the next best competitor or the best competitor that you have, and then go through their followers and start DMing them, hey, we're selling a similar product. Would you like to try it for free? And then you're not incentivizing like reviews in the verbiage, but you're saying, hey, this is a free product. Would you like to try it and give us feedback? And then the process isn't like we force them to leave a review. If they don't leave a review, there's no hard feelings, but most of them turn out to be leaving reviews on Amazon.
Okay, nice. And do you think it's still possible to exit an Amazon-only brand?
Multiples will be much lower. Yeah, it is possible, but...
So it's not worth striving for now?
Yeah, I think after the bubble of the aggregator burst, I think, no, it's going to be much more challenging. At most, you might be getting like 2.5 to 3x. That's the most. Previously, we've seen 4x, 5x, 6x, 7x growth or like exit numbers. But yeah, it's not going... Unless it's a strategic play where that particular brand dominates on Amazon and they don't have much going elsewhere, but then the other aggregator or whoever's buying the strategic acquisition partner, they have the other know-how and they might be able to like give a pretty good exit number. But obviously it'll be like earn out period. So you're not getting everything up front. So
Are the aggregators still acquiring brands?
I don't know for a fact, but I do know there are aggregators out there that are still managing what they have. So it is, it's much harder to, I think, make the whole model work just because of how the margin is being compressed. But as of right now, I think there's not a lot of chit chat about like selling of brands, but obviously there's marketplaces that do deal with this all the time. And if you log into empireflippers.com or any of these broker websites, you're able to find brands that are still listed, but it's just a longer game where things might fall off. And the typical process for you listing a business for sale and then you exiting the business is usually around 6 months to 12 months. So like it's much more challenging now.
Okay. And which mistakes do you see people making when they launch a new product on Amazon now?
Just a Me Too product. I think those days have gone long back. The biggest advantage you have with Amazon is the same day delivery or the next day delivery. So you want to take advantage of that using Amazon, but you want to launch a product that's kind of innovative or has at least 5% better than what the current market leader is offering. Unless you're able to do that, don't even bother launching on Amazon or launching a brand unless you have a completely different angle. I know this is something that I've been learning a lot on the D2C side, which is angles or like the Facebook ad angles or TikTok ad angles, different types of angles. So unless your angle is like superior and you can prove it with that particular angle that this product is able to do it, then you're able to make it work. But on Amazon, you're not able to convey that information. So you're not able to seed in the people's minds what is the problem that you're solving with this particular product, because the way that Amazon works is people are already aware of what they need. They're just coming in, typing, and they're just browsing through different pricing, different coupons, different competitors. And yeah, I think that's the biggest one. Having a product that is much better will definitely be like the number one strategy to make your launch successful. So in order to fail, do the opposite. So yeah.
Okay. And with Amazon listings now,
yeah.
Have you seen a big change in how to set up a listing compared to previously?
Not really, no. The biggest thing is once you optimize your listings for launch, what we're doing is there's two schools of thought where you inundate the keyword. You kind of have so many keywords in your listing where it starts indexing you much better, but it's not readable for the end user, right? Or you have the other school of thought, which is make it readable for the user and just ignore keywords. The way that we've approached it is, hey, stuff as many keywords as you need earlier on within that first week to 2 weeks of launch, but then change it once you start to see indexing for those particular keywords. So once Amazon recognizes it, you can remove those keywords. Amazon still recognizes that product and that keyword relevance for it. So you make it readable afterwards, but during launch, you're making it more keyword heavy and keyword dense. I think apart from this, the biggest other thing is the main image. I think not a lot of people talk about main images or experiment main images, but that's the only thing that you can kind of be superior on selling the same supplement bottle. Like if your bottle is rendered much better, if it's like has these reflections and these lights reflecting, it's going to perform much better than a kind of a dull or a product photography image. So gone are the days where you're able to just take a photo and list it on Amazon. It needs to be like every single image needs to be like picture perfect, meaning it needs to be beyond picture perfect, which is it needs to be a 3D render or a 3D model that you're showcasing in different ways.
And can you be successful without running advertising now? Obviously, Amazon is becoming a bit of a pay to play with if you're not running advertising, you're not showing near the top. Do you think you can rank externally and not spend money on advertising, or is it you won't be able to rank because Amazon will penalize you?
On the organic side, it will definitely, you'll see a little bit of a challenge ranking on keywords that you're not advertising on. But if you have so much advertising going for you outside of Amazon, then you can switch off ads completely and then or just do branded traffic. So you're just protecting your branded searches and you're able to make it win. I've seen brands where they operate on less than 2% tacos. So that is a huge feat because the only thing that they're doing it on is ad branded keywords. So they're just protecting their branded searches, and rest of the keywords that they're trying to go after, they don't care because they're doing so much external of Amazon where they're automatically getting the sales they need on Amazon.
Okay, interesting. And the last thing I want to ask you about Amazon, you just went to Amazon Innovate, which I believe was New York.
Yeah.
Do you recommend it? And for which sellers do you recommend it for?
Yeah, I think with all the events out there, I think Accelerate and Innovate are, I think, the best in my opinion so far. Prosper used to be good. but now it's become so crowded. It's become like a massive expo event where you're not able to build those connections. Versus Accelerate, every year Amazon is growing and they're bringing on more solution providers, software providers as booths. Previously, like 2 years ago when I went for the first time, it was primarily like 95% of the booths were like Amazon different departments. So you could go speak with like someone that is in charge of the brand registry program or the FBA program. So all of these teams at Amazon, you're able to like speak with the supervisor or the heads of those divisions and build those connections from there. So Accelerate is really good for like solving certain issues that you're facing for your Amazon business. You're able to get in contact with the right person. And they do these seller cafe sessions where you're able to book a time ahead of time. And it's on one-on-one over a coffee where you're able to chat with your account rep or someone that Amazon assigns that has access to your account. And then they can go and solve whatever it is that you're facing. So that's really good for that. And then for Innovate, I think it's much smaller than other events. So, and I think they've purposely kept it that way because their venue is also pretty small compared to other event providers. But Innovate, I think it connects more of like the new sellers and then also existing sellers. My main objective for Innovate was reconnect with people that I've already met in the past and just build that strength with them. But I would say for learning, I mean, most of the information is going to be online. So I think these events, primarily the objective is to just connect with people. And then also you're able to put a face to the name that you've been seeing online, that you've been learning from, or whoever that is in your niche, and just kind of talk to them directly and build that personal one-on-one connection with them, have their WhatsApp number. That's what I've done. So I brought 2 of my team members to Innovate, and that allowed me to like, okay, do my own thing while they spoke to other people. And that was just like good for them, good for me. Yeah, that was good.
How important would you say that kind of connecting, learning from mentors and stuff has been in your...
I think it's very valuable. It is extremely valuable. Why? Because they can see right through the fluff and they're able to say, okay, this is what you're currently doing. Don't overthink it. Just do it. Like, you don't need to think this. Like, this is what it requires. Just hire this VA, hire this person, hire that person, because they've gone through that journey and they've been able to ride that wave, right? So they can guide you exactly where you're stuck. And it's more of like a mentor situation where you're able to pick their brains and see what they're doing and what they're kind of understanding the trends are moving in the direction and riding those waves, I guess.
So you're kind of looking to learn from people further ahead than you. And
yeah, absolutely. So one of my friends he launched on TikTok Shop. First year of business, I believe he cracked 50 million with supplements. And then I think he got a bit greedy and asked for reviews from these affiliates from TikTok to Amazon. And then his Amazon account got suspended and he's not able to get it back, unfortunately. I did try helping him with that aspect, with reaching out to internal team members at Amazon, but it just went to like level 7, which is like really hard to get an appeal accepted. And then there are other brands that are doing really massive numbers, and then you're able to see, okay, they're bootstrapping it. Okay, that really opens your limiting beliefs. Okay, you thought you weren't able to scale past a certain limit without cash injection or giving up equity or taking out loans or credit lines. So just, I think that limiting beliefs also opens up because they're the same human being. They're able to crack it, and they're using creative ways such as pre-orders or Kickstarter programs, other things to kind of help with cash flow on the eCom side.
Okay. And then in terms of the kind of options that people have to get mentoring or to learn, you mentioned that you started off kind of buying the info product. I think you're in a few communities as well. And then obviously you're going to events.
Yeah.
How do you find where to go for information, and how do you kind of stay on top of all the options or kind of select which one is best?
Information diet. I don't know if you guys have heard of that particular word or like that term. The whole thing behind it is you want to be selective of who you're learning from. So once you have someone that you've understood, okay, this is like the real deal, just ignore all the other people and just kind of focus on that instead of like going through this person. Oh, this person came up, let's go with that. But I think information diet is super critical. So who you follow on Instagram or Twitter or LinkedIn or whatever it is, you want to be selective of that. And I've made a conscious effort to unfollow certain people that I don't want to be learning from, because yes, they might be doing good in their niche, but that doesn't apply to my niche. Mm-hmm. So I just want to learn from someone that has been able to do it successfully and just follow their kind of advice. So, and then obviously most of the information in 2025 and beyond, you have YouTube University. Basically, all the information is there. So it's just a matter of like learning how to prompt YouTube searches and then ChatGPT and all that fun stuff. So you're able to gain the knowledge you need and then start taking action. I feel like right now, it's not about who you're learning from. It's more about action, which a lot of people, and I fall victim to this as well, which is you take in so much information and now you have information overload. You don't know what to do next. So instead of that, like just if you're reading a book, finish that chapter and then implement that specific chapter and see if that makes sense. I'm currently reading the Money Models book, and every single chapter from Alex Hormozi, I think, is really jam-packed with information where if you skip out on a specific chapter and you think, oh, you'll do it later, it's not going to make sense because you're not learning. I think he defines the word learning really well. I don't know if you guys have heard the word. So learning is that basically you're doing certain actions. Now you learn something. Did that action change or did that action not change from what you've learned? If you haven't changed the action itself, then you haven't learned. So I think defining word is really what I think he does best as well.
Okay. And for you, obviously you're consuming the content, you're going to events. Is that the kind of main ways that you're staying up to date with kind of what's going on?
Not specifically. Yes, I am part of other groups that have a lot of sellers and they share a bunch of information that is working, is not working. So that way it's a collective effort of like, okay, instead of you experimenting certain things, someone already has experimented it. So you can just learn from their mistakes and then do it the right way the first time. And yeah, I think.
Okay. I want to kind of get back to the eCom and Amazon space and kind of moving off Amazon. My first question here is, what do you think of the other marketplaces like, for example, Walmart?
That's a good question. We haven't seen a lot of brands succeed on Walmart, unfortunately. There are brands doing good on Walmart, but unfortunately, I mean, for the brands that we've managed, they haven't been able to crack Walmart for whatever reason. So the way that we're operating Walmart is a lot more different than almost every single agency or brand. And the sauce is you use Walmart as your pricing strategy. What I mean by that is Amazon scrapes the web. Amazon scrapes your website, your Walmart. So if you're able to, hey, you know Walmart isn't working out for you, but list all of your products on Walmart and then have it be $2 to $3, $5 higher than your Amazon price. Now, Amazon will always, whenever they scrape, will say, okay, this is the list price on other marketplaces. So we'll give you the list price strike through on Amazon. So that's been working out tremendously well for brands that are doing it.
Okay. But in general, I guess your conclusion is like these other marketplaces are not worth the effort and you should probably focus on TikTok Shop.
Yeah. So Walmart is still, I think, really in its infant stages. So I would say like focus on it, but don't focus all of your efforts on it. So just get your listings up there, start getting reviews, start basically getting everything optimized for Walmart, but don't rely on it for sales because the traffic isn't there yet.
Okay.
So yeah.
Sorry, do you think the new partnership with Chat will help with Walmart? As I've even noticed it myself, I noticed that they keep referring me. If I'm doing some research and it recommends 3 products to me, the top one's normally a Walmart listing because obviously they're just on the partnership. So I wonder if it's something to keep an eye on, obviously, but is it kind of just wait and see? And if it starts taking off, then jump in, as opposed to putting much energy into it right now?
Yeah, I would say put the energy into just setting up Walmart, but it's not going to be a long-term play just because the product selection isn't there yet. So even if ChatGPT recommends top 3 products, what if the top 3 products on Walmart are not the best products on Amazon? Customers know that. And in the US specifically, half of the population has a Prime membership, more than half. So for them, it's more convenient, even though like ChatGPT partners up with Walmart. I think it's just like something to kind of get their stance out there. Hey, we're part of AI and we're doing this AI stuff. Yeah. But in reality, is that being used? No. Like I would say Amazon is like the go-to place for sellers. And the only way that you can dethrone Amazon is by updating your fulfillment speeds. So, and no one's going to do that. Amazon is not an e-commerce company. They're more of a fulfillment and logistics company first. So, yeah.
And then just kind of expanding on what Ben said there, obviously you've got rumors or, expansion of the Shopify G partnership. You've got kind of Walmart doing their thing now. Do you think there's anything in the works with kind of Amazon and one of these AI companies?
I think Amazon has to do something. It needs to be something that they integrate with one of these AI providers to make sure that they're putting their foot in the ground and providing an experience where they're able to sell. So right now, Amazon, I think last year they did TikTok Shop and Amazon, where you're not able to go out of Amazon or like go outside of TikTok Shop, but purchase directly from within TikTok Shop. So they're doing these things where they're seeing a lot of traffic, but if you don't see a lot of traffic coming in, then what's the point of focusing all of your attention? And I think from the groups that I'm part of, the data that I've seen is like Google results have gone down for like the actual SEO results that people are coming in from, like the referrers, what they're able to look. And ChatGPT has kind of surpassed that, but it still isn't the main channel that provides sales for you. Yes, it's good to get those sales coming in, but the primary channel remains whatever your advertising methods are, or Facebook, Meta, Amazon, whatever it is.
Talking of Facebook, I know with the new business, you're focusing more on kind of TikTok shop.
Yeah.
Can you just talk to, I get what you said with kind of Ben about, Amazon rewarding and kind of, you almost need this hybrid approach.
Yeah.
When you were looking at the other kind of platforms or providers to play with, why did you kind of focus on TikTok shop versus Meta and kind of the more D2C approach?
Yeah. So we've brought on our team someone that has experience with scaling up brands on TikTok shop. When I say TikTok shop, I use it interchangeably with TikTok and TikTok shop. What they've been able to do, or like this individual that we've hired, is generate about 50 to 60 million views per month on TikTok that allows you to drive traffic to Amazon. So that was like an eye-opening moment for me. Like, okay, if there isn't enough demand on a particular niche on Amazon, why rely on that particular demand, which is the bottom of funnel, where you're not creating demand, you're tapping into existing demand. And from that existing demand, you're carving a small market share for your product if you were to launch on Amazon, versus if you did the Meta or like the TikTok shop route, you're just creating so much more demand where people are searching your brand name, and your brand name kind of surpasses the search volume for whatever that keyword is. Let's say it's garlic press. Instead of like 100,000 people searching on Amazon for garlic press, the brand is Zule, right? They're like the number one, I think, right now for garlic presses. And Zule gets 150,000 searches, let's say, imagine, right? That in itself is so much more powerful that you're able to create that demand and use Amazon as the delivery mechanism for your last mile delivery. So I think that's the advantage of going the hybrid approach, TikTok and Amazon, where you're creating demand on TikTok and then using Amazon as the delivery partner. And then as a byproduct, Amazon rewards you with, you're sending external traffic and you're kind of creating trends. Let's reward you by giving you more organic ranking.
What is the benefit to send that TikTok shop to Amazon and not keep it on TikTok shop or push it to a D2C site?
The trust. Amazon, I think, has so much trust where customers, obviously now it's like shifting a little bit, but it's still going to be number one for the foreseeable future. And people already have their credit cards on file, and they're ready with Prime memberships and all that fun stuff with Amazon. So it's just so much easier of a seamless process where they're able to search that brand name that they saw on TikTok and then go to Amazon and buy it from there, because they're going to get it the same day or the next day, versus if they bought it on your D2C site or your TikTok, it might be like 2, 3, 4 days at max. So yeah, that's the advantage.
Okay. So are you kind of looking at TikTok shop as a platform to just push traffic to Amazon, or are you actually focused on kind of driving the conversions on platform as well?
Both. So it depends on what the consumer wants to do at the end of the day. So we can't really dictate all of that. But one place that we can dictate is in the content piece on TikTok. So if you don't have TikTok shop enabled, then you can run all these affiliate pages. I wouldn't even call affiliate pages, but sub pages of your brand, obviously not named by your brand, but some random stuff. So imagine like a blog promoting a product. That blog is talking about other stuff, so travel guide and all that fun stuff, and they're promoting a backpack, for example, that they weave it inside the content, like, hey, this is a backpack that a lot of consumers or like travelers use, right? So that's the same kind of thought process on creating TikTok accounts that you give to these affiliates, or they created themselves, and they're pushing out one piece of content, 2 pieces of content per day that kind of weave in your product and sharing like a story. So an example that I can give you is there's a showerhead brand on Amazon. It's a showerhead that has a filter within it, and they sell it for $120, $130. And they're able to consistently do $1 million per month, primarily on Amazon, because they don't want to deal with TikTok shop fulfillment. So they're driving all of the eyeballs that is super hard to get on Amazon because of the CPCs being higher. There's a lot of better competitors on Amazon playing the Amazon game much better. So what they did is, hey, I'm just going to get consistently 50, 60, 100 million views per month that will allow them to get those conversions needed on Amazon. So the way that they've done it is they've done these random accounts that have different avatars. So let's say if it's a Black individual, they talk about their experience living in Tokyo or Japan, and then they kind of weave in, hey, the food quality was so much better. That's slide 1. The streets are much better. That's slide number 2. Slide number 3 is the water quality is so much better. And then the 4th slide is, oh, I happen to find an Amazon product that kind of gives you the same quality of this Japan water that I was facing. And they kind of craft that story, and they're just posting different versions, different angles of that particular content every single day. And some videos get 1 million views, some video or like slideshows get 1 million to 10 million, 50 million views. It can go viral, and that allows you to get those eyeballs needed to then make your Amazon flywheel work. Okay. So yeah, that's the kind of process for getting the sessions.
Do you envision a time where we get to a point where TikTok starts to kind of penalize you for pushing that traffic off platform?
Not necessarily. So the way that the traffic is being pushed right now is link in bio. So they're not going to remove link in bio. They did remove, or like they don't allow you to send a link from the posts or like the slideshow directly.
Yeah.
Even if you put it in the comment, it doesn't hyperlink. That's where the link in bio comes in, and that allows you to send traffic. So link in bio is evergreen. People use it for, hey, I have this link tree of all this fun stuff that you can sign up for or whatever and get bonuses and whatnot. So I don't think that will go away, but because TikTok is just like a viral machine. And one thing that we've seen so far is if you're not running TikTok shop GMV max ads as of this, like middle of this year, they've kind of capped you on the organic performance as well. So the way that they report out on GMV max is it's a blended approach as well, which is very interesting. Why would they do that? I have no idea. But why take credit for organic when you're taking dollars for advertising? So show me advertising stuff instead of like a blended approach. Yeah, so that's
I can think why they might be doing that, but
obviously to inflate the numbers, to have better performance, all that fun stuff. But yeah, that's what they're playing right now.
Can we talk Meta for a second?
Sure.
What are your thoughts on that in this kind of puzzle of, TikTok, Amazon, and D2C?
I have very limited experience with Meta, to be honest. I've ran ads, but I haven't ran ads for like more than maybe like 2-3 months at max. So my knowledge is very limited, but from what I've heard, and it was very like starting of this year is when I was like really introduced to how you can make Meta work. And for Meta, I think the biggest thing is creatives. Same thing on TikTok shop, but the throughput on TikTok is going to be so much more massive, where you're pushing out more than 100 pieces of different type of content using different accounts on TikTok versus on Meta. Because you're paying for the advertising dollars, you have to be very selective of which types of ads you can run, versus on TikTok, you can post organically all these videos, not caring about costs associated except for like the time intensive tasks such as creating the slideshows or the labor intensive tasks, but you're not putting advertising dollars behind TikTok versus Meta. So on Meta, I think it's really good to get initial feedback. And the way that I see Meta right now is like, hey, if you want to launch a new brand, Meta is your go-to place for test that strategy or test that angle, test that product and see whether it works. I was actually looking up this YouTube video for Atlas AI. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but I think that's very, very fascinating, where you're able to like whip out a website, connect some products, and then send traffic and see whether it works. And then if it doesn't work, just scrap it. Instead of like ordering tons of inventory for Amazon, for TikTok, all that fun stuff, you're down in the hole a lot more.
Okay. So is it more of a sense of kind of you just found TikTok first and went that angle rather than you evaluated Meta and kind of TikTok and chose TikTok?
I did evaluate Meta, but since there's a lot more hard cost associated with it, I was like, okay, I don't want to do that yet. I'll do like the approach of what is the best cost efficient way to like do it.
Okay. And when you're starting the new business, I think you said kind of TikTok first, then Amazon, and then
yeah,
D2C,
I mean, Amazon will be live. TikTok will be live too, but it'll be like driving traffic from TikTok to Amazon. That would be like the first wave of traffic. And then obviously with Meta and a few strategies that we've spoken about earlier in our previous discussions, which is you have listicles, you have all these other things with the Meta that you can test out and see whether those work too as well.
As we start to kind of round things off, I just want to ask about balance. So obviously you've got a couple of projects on, you've got a lot of great team members. How do you balance your time and kind of choose where to allocate your efforts?
I think there isn't such thing as a balance, in my opinion. You either do something really at a stretch and then you finish that off and then you kind of move on to the next piece. And that's been like the chapters of my life, to be honest, where earlier on it was like doing all the things required to make sure that there's some things that you're able to like have a consistent flow of cash flow or whatever. And then once you have team members, then it's a little bit more like, okay, you can set back and make sure, okay, you're still leading the strategy to some extent, but you are removed from the day-to-day that allows you to think bigger picture and then obviously take better moves for your business, for the client's business, so on and so forth. And one thing that we've been pushing is obviously do TikTok shop. That is like a no-brainer for a lot of brands that are in the beauty space, in the supplements, CPG space to be doing. But yeah, from a balance perspective, I would say having team members help definitely. So I think that's like a huge thing. And then I think you mentioned EAs as well. I think that I'm definitely looking into that. And yeah, I think yeah.
And you are offering TikTok shop now at the agency as well, right?
It's not public yet. It's just something that we're doing with our internal brands to make sure that, okay, we're able to like make it work for them. Yes, we've been able to make it work for like 2 brands, but it's just like one-off things. So viral content that happen to go on Spanish content, like Spanish videos that tend to perform really well for that particular niche, electrolytes that is. And yeah, so that we're just testing out a few things over there, but I don't think I would be planning to roll it out for the masses, just because I kind of respect the domain expertise of other people and other agencies. And I know Amazon much better than most. So sticking to that for the long term will definitely yield me much better results than kind of dipping toes into other things where you're not an expert in. Let's say you are an expert in it, then, or if you hire someone that is an expert, then you could kind of expand into that foray. But like doing it yourself doesn't make sense.
Okay. So for people that want to work with you, it is kind of the Amazon focus.
That is correct. Yeah. So Amazon, if you're able to drive traffic off of Amazon, if you have a brand that is doing good numbers outside of Amazon and you're not on Amazon, then you're missing out on a lot of sales.
Yeah.
And then if you're already on Amazon, but you didn't launch it the right way, then you're missing out on what Amazon has to offer. So yeah, those 2 things is kind of what we kind of help with brands, is launch them, scale them, and then potentially kind of consult them on exiting and what they need from a business exit perspective, like keeping their kind of numbers in check, making sure there's profitability to show, all the fun stuff that I've kind of gone through.
Okay. And where can people kind of find out more and get in contact or follow along?
Yeah, so LinkedIn is a good place, and then also amerify.co. That's the website. So AMERIFY.co. That is the agency website.
Owais, thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for hosting me.
Thanks, Owais.
Yeah, thank you for hosting me.